doubly said. The boogeyman's under my bed. The voice is all in my head. They killed my son, now I'm dead. My girl beside me in bed. She placed her hand on my head. I spoke to the devil, he said. I spoke to the devil, he said. They're covered in chocolate pills. You'll never get signed to a deal. Your hustle will never pay off. You'll never be your own boss. You'll never shine like you should. Hard work, it doesn't pay off. It pays if you suck them off. It pays the salad you toss. Your pride is too big for that. Go ahead, you just be a rat. Step over your brother, his back. Just fake like you got his back. Just fake like you really care. Just leave your girl in her chair. Just leave your kid at the stairs. The game is yours if you dare. I spoke to the devil, he said. The boogeyman's under my bed. The voice is all in my head. They killed my son, now I'm dead.
What up, guys? Back in business. Trill Talk MMA for you not in the know. Trill, real, truth, and one. The game missed us. All the reporters are fanboys. All the fighters are fanboys. So we coming out here to give you that Trill shit. One of your hosts, Fallen Angel, Mr. Bate Chocolate, Greg Blackson, and my man, Dan Rose. We redoing it. This is the new episode 1. Starting off with tonight, my man, UFC 241.
Yeah,
What's
no
your
doubt.
thoughts?
I'm excited to be here with you. I'm excited to be doing this. It's been a minute since I've been on a podcast. I honestly wish we had some better news at the end of UFC 241, but it is what it is. We'll do our best to recap the show and then get into some news.
It was depressing, wasn't it?
It was super depressing.
It was depressing. Oh, and people, just in case, because we know some of you guys cut out early, you could check out all my social media at Fall Ninja 510. That's including PlayStation. That's including Patreon, SoundCloud, everything. Just put out a new music video, YouTube. And my man, give them your social media.
You can find me on social media at Dan Rose MMA. Instagram, Twitter, all that. It's all Dan Rose MMA, and you can also find our show at Trill Talk MMA. So
Yes,
make sure you give us a follow.
Okay, I know you might not want to talk about this because we're jumping right into UFC 241, people. It just ended. You might not want to talk about this fight, but I have something to say. Derek Brunson versus Ian Heinch, or however you say his last name.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's my thing why I want to talk about this fight. Because there's two things that bother me. Ian, this man was talking about how Derek Brunson lost to another man and he needed to get revenge on him for that. What's going on with these guys in the game, Dan? How does a man lose to a man and you want to get that man for losing to a man and then you lose to that man?
Yeah, that is some MMA math that doesn't quite add up. That is ridiculous is what that is.
I've never wanted in my life as a man, like, hey, this dude going through some bad shit. Let me hate on him. Let me hate on him for that. You know, that's why Nate Diaz, shout out to my boy Nate Diaz. I've known him for like a million years. But that's why people love him in the game, because you just don't get no real shit from these fighters anymore. I don't know what's going on. But Derek Brunson, I'm watching this guy. And this is a problem I've had for a long time with the sport, is like these coaches aren't honest, Like, I feel like these coaches, if you listen to a lot of the corners, aren't honest with who won the round, how the fighter is actually doing, or even honest with, like if you look at old school, like boxing coaches I use, for example, Eddie Futch, Emmanuel Stewart, Customato, Mike Rooney, these guys, they were honest, like, hey, you need to fix this, or you fucking up here, or you doing this. And Derek Brunson is striking to get kicked in the head for the 88th time. And, like, his hands are always down this. I feel like this guy, and he's from North Carolina. I got family from there. So I'm like, come on, man. I feel like these coaches need to just be honest with these fighters, or else nothing's going to change. And I just want to bring that up because it bothers me. It bothers me, Dan.
It should bother you. That's a good point. I mean, these guys you don't pay them to be your friends. You pay them to be your coaches, and you pay them to help you through fights and through things that you might not be seeing in the cage yourself. And when you get done with a round that obviously didn't go your way, and they're telling you followed the game plan perfectly and stick to it, and I mean, you're not paying these guys to get good news. You're paying them to get the truth.
Yeah. Do you feel it's the coaches or the fighters? Because I feel like, this is how these coaches make their money, and fighters are obviously egotistical. So do you feel like maybe some of them aren't saying it to protect their job? Like, man, if I tell this guy the truth, he needs to work on this or that, they'll fire me. Like, what do you think the problem is?
I think there's some of that. I think that especially when you have a fighter that's recently switched camps, like Derek Brunson this was his second camp, I think, with his new team. I mean, there's not a lot of familiarity there yet. There's not a lot of just how honest can I be with this guy? What's his reaction going to be if I tell him, hey, you're in there fucking it up? So it's, yeah. I think that's some of it. And dude, as much as anybody, some of these fighters have some pretty fragile egos.
They do.
You got to be careful with them. So if I'm a fighter, I want the truth. I want a coach that's honest with me and that can give me the knowledge to go forward and to execute a game plan that's going to get me a victory. Because at the end of the day, you don't get your money if you don't get your victory. So I want someone that's going to help me.
That's true. You know what? You made a good point. With somebody like Brunson switching camp, you do have to take that time to get familiar with them. But the other guys who have been with guys a long time and not doing it, I feel like it's inexcusable. And I'm about to give anybody that's going to listen to this the inside scoop. Most don't know this, but women have periods 1 time a month, and most of these fighters have periods 2 times a month, Dan. That's the inside scoop right there, my man. Because I didn't see a lot of these fighters, and I know many, Bellator, UFC, ONE FC, KSW. I know guys from every sport at all levels, and these guys be having periods 2 times a month, man. So maybe I understand these coaches just like, I've seen some actually where people try to tell them, and this is including teammates, friends, family, and they don't listen. And now people are kind of like, fuck it, do what you do then, whatever, just give me my money,
Yeah.
So
it's hilarious. It's an important relationship you have to have with your coach and your trainers and everything. And I mean, Derek Brunson's an example. He lost a couple fights in the first round, back-to-back knockouts. And now he's got 2 wins in a row. And the one thing I can say about his new coaches or whoever's helping him now is he's definitely fighting smarter than he used to.
Yeah, he's at Hard Knocks, 365, Florida. That's whatchamacallit, Jim, the Dutch guy.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Henry Hoof.
Hoof, yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely got him fighting smarter and conserving his energy. You're not seeing him get tired like you used to see. And I think I don't know Henry, obviously, but I've heard some of the fighters that have trained with him, and I think he's going to give it to you straight. I don't think he's going to candy coat a whole lot. But, it's a new relationship, so it's going to take some time, I think. But I think that at least he's going in the right direction. But yeah. As far as Ian Heinisch, I have no idea what the hell that guy's talking about, getting revenge on somebody for losing the fight to somebody else.
He said it was because he embarrassed wrestlers. Yeah, he said it was because he embarrassed wrestlers, and then he went out there and couldn't even wrestle the guy who's wrestling. He was down talking. So
yeah, he packed 7 minutes of gas for a 15-minute trip, and that didn't work out too well.
I want to know why his head looked like the old He-Man action figure that I had when I was a kid. That's something that I want somebody, at some point on Instagram or Twitter to just answer that question.
Well, there you go, man. Hit us up on Trill Talk MMA and let my guy Dom know, why does his head look like He-Man action figure?
I know what you want to talk about, though. You want to talk about the big 3.
Yeah, let's get after the big 3. Although I will say this, not counting the big 3, that Youssef fight with Benitez, it was nice to see Youssef get out there and do what he does well and get a stoppage victory in the first round. So
yeah, I'm going to save something for that fight for when we talk about the DC fight that just came to mind.
All right, let's get it then. Let's start with Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero.
Okay, you started off, my man.
First of all, these 2 guys are like made of granite. They don't look human. They don't look, I don't know how either one of them gets past USADA, but I'll tell you, they absolutely stood in front of each other and slugged it out for 15 minutes. And in my opinion, it was clearly the fight of the night. Yes. And I mean, I was happy to see that Paulo Costa won. It was one of like the only 2 fights I got right on the whole card, he and Diaz. But, yeah, I thought it was a great fight. I thought I was interested to see Costa actually stand in front of Romero, walk him down, put him against the cage, things that we haven't seen done to Romero before. So it was a fight that I was looking forward to on paper, probably more than any other fight on the card, and it delivered.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, Romero gets past USADA by God. So let's clear that.
Point.
Let's clear that up now.
That's a good point.
Costa, on the other hand, I don't know how he gets past USADA. You know, you and I, you know, for anybody that will listen, Dan and I were watching the UFC together, and I told him, like me, I watch all the shows. Like a lot of the guys big now, Khabib, even when GSP was there, Caro, Diaz brothers. I was watching a lot of the famous people now before they ever got to UFC, including Paulo Costa. And he was small. And then I see him get to the UFC and he's medium. And then like 3 fights into the UFC, he's large. And then he fights Yoel Romero and he's like one of the monsters in, the new Godzilla King of Monsters movie that came out. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I never thought I would see somebody dwarf Romero. Like Romero was big, but then when Costa was walking him down, he just looked so much wider. And I'm like, holy shit. And as far as that fight goes, in my mind, I had Romero, if he utilized his wrestling with his striking, he won. And I didn't think it would be that hard. If he just struck with Paulo Costa, I had him losing, which is what happened. You know, with a guy like Paulo Costa, the guy, he's like a puncher, you know, is what they would call it in boxing, where it's not the brawler and they don't have the boxing technique of the boxer, but they're right in the middle. They have enough technique, but then enough, it's like the bully boxer. And everybody knows with a guy like that, you have to walk them down. You can't be walked down. And Romero let him walk him down, which I never thought I would see ever.
Yeah.
Which brings up the other point you and I spoke about. I want to hear your thoughts on is why do you feel so many of these guys these wrestlers transition to MMA and they use their wrestling and they do well and then they get a knockout or two. In Romero's case, many, I give them that, and they fall in love with it and get away from the wrestling. Johnny Hendricks and Koscheck being the best two cases. Like, what's your thoughts on why you feel this occurs?
I honest to goodness, I wish I knew. In terms of all of the different disciplines that go into mixed martial arts, wrestling I still think is the best base to have. I think it's the most dominant base. And it just amazes me when these guys who've been wrestling since they were 10 years old, and I'm talking about like elite level Olympic type wrestlers, all of a sudden get in a gym where they start throwing hands more and then they get a knockout and all of a sudden they're in love with their hands and they get away from their wrestling. And I don't know why that happens. I can only assume it's like we said, they're falling in love with their hands, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. And we saw it tonight. We'll get to it in a little bit later, but we saw it happen in the main event tonight from round to round, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I honestly don't know what the answer to that question is. I think it's just part of it. I think might be indicative of the UFC always pushing for the most exciting finishes, giving the bonuses for the exciting fights, not really being fans of the guys who you see it on Dana White's Contender Series. The guy that makes a dominant 3-round decision doesn't get a contract.
Brendan Loughren, yeah.
Yeah, but the guy that throws caution to the wind and happens to land the knee gets the contract. And I think these guys feel pressure to increase their paydays and to increase their notoriety and their stardom with the fans. They get away from what gets them victories and instead they try to do what wins them more fans and you know, succession then gets them more money with the UFC.
Yeah, you know, I feel, you know, from a fighter's perspective, I feel like I think that part of it is what you said. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think behind the scenes, it starts in a training room. Like one thing that AKA did, and this is way back when Fitch was the head captain before Cormier, you know, shout out to AK. That's my first MMA gym. And is they started a wrestling class for the fighters where there ain't no like submissions and punching and this, and it's just straight wrestling. And I feel like that's actually needed. And another thing is with MMA fighters, like, you know, me, I come from a boxing background, moved to kickboxing and moved to MMA. And in boxing, we drill. In kickboxing, drill. In MMA, the biggest shock to me when I first went to MMA is there was like no drilling. It was just live goes. Like, go. And if you look at wrestling, Russia's been the most dominant in wrestling for years and years and years. And if you look at the coach from the that trains the Olympic team, he said that like 90% of their training is consistent drilling. And look at how dominant they are in the field. And in MMA, they get away from that. So it's like you're gonna do in a fight some of what you do in training, because people talk like, oh, you do everything you do in training. That's not true. I know some people who are shit in training and they step it up like to a new level in camp, and other guys that are, I remember Mike Van Arsdale I use for an example. I remember he would walk in the AK training once a week and maul everybody, and then he could not put it together in a fight.
Yeah.
But you have to at least drill these things to muscle memory so you can bring out at least 50, 60% of it in a fight, you know? And if you're lucky, more than that. And I feel like they get away from that, and there's no wrestling practices, and then the UFC's pressuring people, like you said, and it gets away from them. Like, Yoel, you see he shot the double leg, got it easy. Imagine if he was doing that the rest of the fight, and then he could have landed more strikes if a person's worried about a takedown.
Absolutely. It gets them to where they can't set up. They're nervous all the time. It changes the way that they stand. It changes the way that they strike. And it's just weird because wrestling, and the one thing that I've always loved about watching wrestlers compete in MMA is wrestling when you're good at it and you understand the positions and everything else. It is the safest way to control a fighter without running the risk of being damaged.
Yes.
I mean, if you're a good stand-up fighter, yeah, you can control the stand-up, the distance, but you're always at risk. You know what I mean? If you have a guy down on the ground, you're in half mount, or you're even in half. If you're past the guard at all, you're in a position where you do the damage and you're not as afraid of the damage being done to you. And if I'm a fighter and at the end of the day I'm trying to win fights, that's the position I want to be in.
Yes. Old school Matt Hughes. GSP could be the perfect examples of this, and then the other thing, GSP, bringing up what we were just talking about, he's a perfect example of why utilizing all your tools is best. Because GSP, exactly. They have better wrestlers than him in UFC. They have better jiu-jitsu guys. They have better strikers. But when he's going up, down, and you don't know what's going on, he would beat all these guys who were better in singular facets than him. And he was intelligent enough never to get away from, it's called MMA.
Yeah,
martial arts.
That's the thing. That's why I consider him to be the best, because he never let anybody or anything dictate to him how the fight was going to go. He always fought the smartest fight for him to get the easiest path to victory. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I respect that about him. I understand that there's pressure from the UFC on guys to be exciting and to take risks and do all that. But at the end of the day, your job as a fighter is to put wins in the bank and to take home your show money and your win money. If they're going to pay you in that manner, if they're going to have a show money and a win money, then they should shut the hell up and not have anything to say about how you go about earning your money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is despicable. Of course only combat sport that does that. Even in the small little arenas in Thailand and Cambodia and everywhere, you get your full pay. It's despicable for a $1 billion company. It's despicable. And they're telling you to go in there and die. Go in there, just bang it out, blah, blah. If you look at Pride, here's the thing. Pride, you got your money straight up. So that's already going to change your mentality because you feel safe. Oh, I got my money, my family's cool. Let me go in there and do what I do. Then you're going to feel even safer to do what you do because it's like, if I win, they love me. If I lose, but I fight my ass off, they love me. Let me fight my ass off. My money's safe. My family's fed. I got money in the bank, and they're going to love me regardless. In the UFC, it's like, oh, you lost? Hey, fuck you, homie. Oh, you lost? Give me 50% of your money. Now go pay your coaches 10%, 10 to 15%. Go pay your manager 10 to 20%, depending on if you're smart or not. Some of these kids getting 20%, should never be over 10 kids. And then go pay U.S. taxes half the time. And if it's from another country, you got to pay the U.S. taxes and your country. What do they have left? Come on, man. Of course you're going to fight safe.
It's not right. It's not a fair and equitable system. But the UFC, I mean, the point that you're an independent contractor, yet you have contracts that stipulate certain terms, and none of it is set up for the fighter.
No.
You talk about these things that are coming out now with the lawsuit and the contracts and the way that fighters, if you fought for the UFC and let's say you got an injury, they can extend your contract the amount of time for your injury. Yeah. And then if you're only out for 2 months, but you don't fight again for 9 months because they don't book you, they can extend your contract out for 9 more months.
Yep.
It's another way for a promoter to control an independent contractor. It flies completely in the face of everything that is supposed to be about being an independent contractor. I mean, the independent contractor, you are independent. That's fucking in the title.
No, it's just they're very good at putting the correct words together when they need to give an impression to people that something is happening that's never happened.
Yeah, and now you look at Kat Zingano just got released by the UFC, and she came out and said that she didn't want to fucking follow their stipulation and their ultimatum and, take another fight that she didn't want and whatever it was, and so she's gone now.
Yeah, she's in the middle of creating something to have a stable life for herself and her family, to be financially secure. Because, you know what I mean? If you're in the NFL, you could be sitting on the bench and you financially secure. In the UFC, most of these guys have to work jobs or create outside sources of revenue to be secure with the top promotion in the world. You should be able to sit there with your wiener in your hand or your breast for a woman and be financially secure with the top organization. That's like getting in the NFL and having to work at McDonald's.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. What's the point? I mean, you see Mike Perry last week came out and said that after the fight that he had and his nose was mangled like it was and all that, he has $6 in the bank.
Yeah, I'm in the middle with Mike Perry though, because at the same time, as adults, we're responsible for our own actions. And number one, he should be paid millions, like all these guys I feel in the UFC should. What's the point of being in the big show and you're not? Number two, be financially responsible. Because when I look at Mike Perry, every time I look at his Instagram or something like that, he's buying this or he got this designer outfit or this or that, and it's like, okay, you're gonna go broke.
You're absolutely right. That's part of it. You have to be an adult and manage your money and manage your finances, and that's up to you as an adult to do.
In the UFC, should be able to buy a few designer outfits at the same time. So
and the way he fights, and the way he fights and what he puts on the line for them and everything.
Dude, him and Vince, what's his name? Vince Luke, or however to say, Vicente or whatever.
Luca,
man, that fight was crazy. Man, they should be getting like a $500,000 bonus for something like that. You know how many years that take off your career, a fight like that?
That's crazy. I mean,
for the fans, come on, man.
It's bullshit. That's why I have a hard time with the UFC, and I have a hard time with fans who promote a promotion over the fighter. Yeah. Dana White likes to say in MMA, you eat what you kill. If you want to make a lot of money, you have to go out there and be a showman and do all this. Well, what exactly is Dana White killing to eat like he eats? He's living off of the performances of all of these guys.
You just answered it. He's killing the guys.
That's exactly right.
He's killing the guys. Dude, Dana White Tuesday night fucking fights. Dana White does spinny shit. Dana White looking for a fight. What fight has Dana White ever looked for? I ain't seen Dana White. No, I got to give it to him that one time he was going to box Tito. That was the only time he was looking for a fight. But it's like, man, why is his name in front of everything? Hey, guys, this is Dana White. Welcome to UFC. The commercials are him. Like, let me see a commercial on Demetrius Johnson or something like this dude that went through some real shit growing up. And I'll tell you like this. You want to talk pound for pound? Let's get on some real shit. It's Demetrius. And you got to put the 4 pound for pounds, Demetrius, GSP, John Jones, and Cormier. If you go pound for pound, those are the pound for pound guys. And you
absolutely.
know what I mean? And the smartest guys to ever do it was DJ and GSP. Those are the smartest guys to ever do it. And it's like, man, why can't I see commercials on these guys? But you want to promote John Jones, and he out here running over pregnant women. They letting this dude, they changing all the rules, letting this dude fight with steroids in his system like 3 fights in a row, talking about it's a picogram. You know what I mean? Who care if the police catch you with a picogram of cocaine in your system, you still in trouble, you know? So come on, man. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
We getting too far. So Paulo Costa and Romero Paulo Costa won. That goes to Israel and Whitaker. He's going to face the winner. How do you feel about that?
I'm all for it. We talked a little bit about this tonight. I like Whitaker. I think that he and Costa would be a tremendous fight. I think Costa and Adesanya would be a fun fight. I like Paulo Costa. He's undefeated. He looks like a superhero. He has a rock'em sock'em mentality. I think a fight with he and Robert Whitaker would be a lot of fun. I think Robert Whitaker wins, but I think that it would be a lot of fun, and that's a fight that, as a fan, I'm looking forward to seeing down the line.
Yeah, you know what's strange? I feel like Robert Whitaker matches up the best with him. I feel like he would beat Israel, but lose to Whitaker. That's how I feel about Paulo Costa fighting. Yeah.
I agree with that too, because Whitaker has a similar slugger, stand in front of you, take some, give some, but the guy is just relentless. Whereas I think that Costa's lack of having a tremendous speed and everything else would have him have some trouble with Israel. But who knows?
Dude, Israel he stood in front of Gastelum. Gastelum is my height, 5'9".
Yeah.
And he had, a 7-inch reach advantage or something, and he came out looking like if you went to a campfire and began to roast the marshmallow and the bumps grew on it. You know? How you put the marshmallow in the fire and it starts to bubble up?
Yeah,
so
man.
Imagine what Paulo Costa would land on him.
Yeah, that would be ugly.
And Paulo Costa, he could take those shots. Because look how he took – I never expected him to take Romero shots like that.
Yeah, he took some heavy shots from Yoel.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, dude. They call him the eraser. I'm like, man, let me get some of that eraser juice that you on, man, because I don't even want to jog to look good no more. I just want what he on.
He's on that Alistair Overeem horse meat, man.
Dude, he's on that special acai berry.
That's exactly what it is. There you go.
It's that shit, like whatever is in that mushroom that makes Super Mario grow, he's on it.
Well, more power to him, man. If he can look that way and get by USADA, then shit. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, he's a good looking dude too. He could, he needs to get his manager need to get him modeling in like Brazil and stuff. That dude, he can model. He ain't all beat up in the face. Good looking guy. He got the Mario mushroom body. They need to capitalize on that. And he ain't had his jaw broke 55 times like Luke Rocco. So
yeah, and that's a guy that the UFC's not doing a whole hell of a lot to promote. Yeah. What have you seen Paulo Costa from the UFC in terms of promotion?
Dude, he wasn't even in the embedded. Him and Romero, I was looking for him in the embedded. I was like, man, where my Cuban dude at? They didn't even put him in the embedded. But they got Showtime in there with glasses on every single scene. Like, come on, man. Let's give some other dudes some shine. Let's not forget that Pettis was losing a bunch of fights before he won a few. And they never
Speaking of, let's get to him and Nate.
Oh, shit.
I love it.
Oh, shit. I love it.
Oh, hell yeah, you love it. I know you love it.
I loved it. I loved it because, I know Nate over a decade. You know what I mean? I used to be one of Nate's main training partners before he got in the UFC for Hermes Franca, WEC for you young kids don't know about this shit, and all that stuff when he was first in the UFC fighting like Pellegrino and all them. I was training with him and so I was happy for him. I was scared. I was like, man, if he plays that long range and he's getting kicked, he might lose this fight. If he's going forward, walking him down, he'll win. And in the first round, he was playing that long range. I didn't like it. And then he started going hands up, walking forward, and started putting it on Pettis. And I was like, cool. And Pettis this is what I'm talking about, how coaches got to be honest. Pettis, if you watch him versus Dos Anjos, you watch him versus Tony Ferguson, you watch him versus Poirier, these guys. Pettis likes to play the fence. This is, as your coach, you got to say, hey, don't play the fence.
This is not your game.
It doesn't work with these particular fighters, and it's not you. But you want to let him jump off the fence like the young Peter Parker in the movies, like kick Ben Henderson in the head, knock out Stephen Thompson. So instead you're like, oh, it's wonderful, do your thing. It ain't, because that's 1 in a million. You've lost more playing the fence than you've done spectacular things off the fence. He's a guy, he needs space. And it starts with the coach. No, excuse me. It starts with yourself. I don't want to say the coaches first, because I tell you like this. I've watched my losses literally hundreds of times. And that's even when I don't even fucking lose. I get ripped off. I still be like, man, why did I let it go to the decision to get ripped off? Let me watch. That's how I am. Only time I watch my wins is when friends are asking to watch it. You got to be honest with yourself first. Then your coach is getting paid X amount of dollars to be honest. He should have never been on that fence one time sparring Nate. I sparring Nick and Nate. And I tell you like this, it's not where you want to be. I know that personally, you know.
Yeah, especially if you're Pettis and your tools are being dynamic striker.
Yeah,
you know?
And he didn't do anything he should have. Because here's the thing, Nate's a southpaw, right? So kickboxing lesson for somebody / boxing lesson, I stick with kickboxing lesson since he's a kicker. The right low kick, the right body kick, and the right high kick are the 3 main weapons of choice to spar a southpaw, especially a boxer. You know, especially a boxer. And if you look at it, when did he ever do it? He never did it.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It was the worst game plan ever. But I'm happy about it because he was getting beat up. You know?
I like we were watching it. He just turns his back at one point. It's just like, all right, well.
Yeah. Yeah, why did he turn his back, man? That's like some girl stuff, like when you're about to, you know, XX rated on a girl, like, and they turn around, like, I'm like, come on, Pettis. He's talking all this stuff like, oh, it's beef, it's funk, I ain't letting it go, blah, 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 this, that, I'm gonna embarrass him. I don't know if you caught on this, Dan, but every single time he's talking like that, he loses.
Yeah, it's funny because, I mean, he's a talented fighter and everything, but if you look at his last 10 fights, he's got more losses than wins. He's 4-6 in his last 10 fights.
Yeah.
And like his last 8 fights, he goes win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. So it's not like the guy is some world beater. You know what I mean? He's a good fighter who tends to quit when things get tough.
Always. How many times has he said, oh, I broke my hand, and then after that they go check and it's not broke. I broke my rib, and they go check and it's not broke. You know what I mean? You better break my fucking soul before I quit.
Yeah, that guy breaks his own will, man. He breaks his own spirit. It's either in you or it's not in you. You're either the fighter that quits or you're the fighter that doesn't quit. And you're not going to see that shit from Diaz. You're never going to see Nate quit on the bench and say, oh, my hand hurts.
Dude, Diaz is like Zorro out of One Piece when he was just beat and he just stood there and said, hey, you taking me out with me facing you. I ain't getting no slash on my back. You know, like that's how right. Diaz is. Pettis, his back probably got hella slashes. You know, like my dude slashed up looking like he out the movie Roots and shit. Like, I'm like, come on, man. Come on, Pettis, don't do it again. And you remember when we were watching it, I told you, like, he quit. The next thing we know, he getting kneed in the head. And he
turned in his back.
Looking like he want to do, like, doggy style. I'm like, come on, man. Don't do it.
He quit, that's for sure. And it's just like, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, too, but it's true. Why Nate Diaz is so popular, because he is 100% Nate Diaz all the fucking time. He's not Colby Covington putting on a show. He's not Chael Sonnen putting on a show. He is himself. He's the genuine article. And that's why people love and respect him. And that's why I love him. The Diaz brothers, as far as I'm concerned, are pure gold. Yeah, and they deserve everything that they get in life that's good. And this is a 1,000 days the guy was out. And he comes back in and he stops Anthony Pettis, or he doesn't stop him, but, well, he got a decision, but pretty much stopped him. And, he called out Masvidal, which would be an awesome fight.
gangster shit.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about that. And I got to give second credit to Leon Edwards. It's two people calling out Masvidal, while everybody else don't want to touch that man. Shout out to Masvidal. I known that dude a million years too, so I've always got love for the homie. But two people calling him out, and that's Diaz, Leon Edwards. So they both got thumbs up in my book. Everybody else don't want to touch that man, you know?
And who can blame him? I mean, that's another guy who who's cut from the same cloth. He is the genuine article. He is himself. He's not putting on a show for anybody. And I like that. You gotta respect that about him. And, he and Nate Diaz, man, wow. That's must-see TV.
That's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be Diaz versus Masvidal, and the winner of that gets the winner of Covington and Usman. And Dana White need to put me in there, cause it's uneven. He got Masvidal and Diaz. They're the only two gangsters up in there. He need me so it could be like a trinity. You know,
I like it.
He need to put that. We need to build like the pyramid shape, like Illuminati. You know, because the game, man, is no personalities. I ain't with that like fake shit. Like, yeah, Donald Trump, blah blah blah, this and that, and Chael Sonnen, you know, I like Chael Sonnen, but don't be saying, you know, gangster. If Chael Sonnen went to Oakland saying he a gangster, he'll get, you know what I mean? He'll get ran over.
It's a hell of a lot easier to be a gangster from West Lynn, Oregon than it is from fucking Oakland, California.
Yeah, it's entertaining, but man, he needs some more real people in there. Even Conor then fell off. Now Conor I used to like Conor before he got to the UFC. That's another guy I was following. And, you know, I was respecting him because he was just some dude that didn't have nothing. And he was like, I'm getting it. Then he got it, and it became a fucking act, and he a goddamn clown and a jester. I'm like, man, you know, come on, man. Put me up in that motherfucking, let's see some other shit. But we got Masvidal Diaz.
I hope that happens, man. I hope that happens.
You know they're gonna make it. You know they're gonna leave out Leon Edwards. Look how long they left out Tony Ferguson. My dude on the 200 fight win streak and still ain't got a title shot. They don't care, man. I don't even know why they have rankings. They should just be like, hey, say some bullshit, and if the fans like it, you get a title shot. Like, I don't even know what Liz Carmouche, no disrespect, Liz. You know, I fought on the card with her down in Mexico a long time ago. That ain't even on my shirt, dog, like most of my shit. And, you know, I respect the woman, but why was she fighting Valentina Shevchenko? I don't even know how that happened. Like, they just do whatever they feel like doing.
Yeah, that was an interesting deal.
You know? So you know they're going to leave out Leon Edwards.
Yeah, he's on the outside looking in for a while, at least. Because like you said, they're gonna take those four out, and then of course Usman and Covington. Covington and Usman will fight, and then the winner will fight the winner of Masvidal and Diaz. So we're looking at least, 18 months to 2 years. With Leon Edwards on the outside. Leon Edwards is probably gonna have to come back and fight Tyron Woodley or someone like that.
I think that's what they'll do. It'd be Covington. If things go right, nobody get injured. It'd be Covington and Usman. Masvidal, Diaz get the winner of that, and then Leon Edwards and Woodley get the winner of that. It's gonna be some long shit like that. We have a lot to catch up on because this is the first one, and a lot of MMA news is happening. So let's get to that Covington. Not Dos Anjos, Robbie Lawler.
That was incredible performance. That's, in my opinion, that is the single best offensive performance I've ever seen a fighter have in the octagon. And that's coming from somebody that fucking hates Colby Covington's persona. I like Colby Covington as the individual, the real Colby Covington. I saw a video of him the other day talking to a young fighter who was just asking him for advice on the side of like a little event. And Colby was like, yeah, he was 100% honest and genuine and true and not like a character or persona. And it was awesome to see. And the things he does to help out troops and that on his own dime and everything, awesome to see. But when he goes into that Colby Covington shtick, it's cringeworthy and I hate it. But there's no denying his abilities as a professional fighter. The guy can fucking go.
Yeah. You know what? I told this to James a long time ago. So it was always the big three. And the big three I'm speaking of is Covington, Usman, and Woodley. And I told James that I had Usman beating Woodley because he's big and strong, if not bigger and stronger, and he won't allow himself to get bullied. And if you study Woodley's history, anybody that does not get bullied by Woodley, Woodley loses to. Always, 100% of the time. The guys who go forward on him and don't let themselves get bullied, they beat him. You know, like Roy McDonald and Nate Marquardt, all these guys. And I was like, I have him beating Woodley, but I have Covington beating them both. Because the thing is, the best cardio, like people always talk about Usman having this cardio, but to me, I don't see it. Because if you take somebody down and you sit on top of them, you better not get tired, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't see it. Covington, when I looked at him, this guy can go. And it's like nobody acknowledged this for some odd reason until the Lawler fight. But I look at
the evidence was there.
Yeah, I look at things always because to me, fighting is anatomical and physiological chess. It's like metabolic chess. And this is from me studying my major in Duke. So I look at everything like that. And because a lot of people in my family are psychologists too, so I'm always looking at things like this, like how the mind and body are going. And I was like, this dude has the best cardio of all of them. And and as far as a lactic acid threshold, he's shown me the best. So from what I've seen out of him, he has the best cardio and the best muscular endurance of everybody and the highest output of everybody. And I always looked at it like that. And a long time ago, I told James, I was like, he'd beat both of those guys, you know, outside of an Aaron punch. And the Aaron punch is more likely to come from Woodley than it would Usman. And I think he's going to beat Usman. A lot of people think that he won't. I think that he will. I think he'll actually burn him out. And just because he's not as big and as buff looking, I don't think he's significantly weaker than that guy either. You know?
Yeah, both, you know, I honestly, and isn't me selling Colby Covington short at all. Because, like I said, even though I don't like the guy, I respect the shit out of him in the cage. I don't know if he beats Usman or not. I can see a path to victory for him for sure. But I also see a path to victory for Usman. I think that it's going to be a tremendous fight. The one thing I will say is I see more ways for Colby Covington to win than I see for Usman to win. Like you said, not counting, you know, the strike that lands that, you know, can end a fight in a second. If you look at it like practically what would happen over the course of 5 rounds between the two of them, I see more ways for Colby Covington to win that fight than I see for Usman. And I'll go on record as saying this. If Colby Covington beats Usman, I don't think there's a 170er out there that beats him.
I think that if he beats Usman, the best chance of him losing is Masvidal.
See, I think that he beats Masvidal, and I think he beats Masvidal kind of easily. I like Masvidal and everything else, but I mean, Jorge is obviously on a big upswing right now in his career and everything, but this is a guy that's lost to a lot of fighters.
Yeah, he has. But you know what? Sometimes when you turn that corner, you stay turned, and he seems to have.
That's true. It happened with Robbie Lawler, obviously.
Yeah, if you look at him, Masvidal wasn't sleeping people like that. If you look at it, because you know, like I said, I know him, like for real. And if you look at people now and then, and now it's just like sleep, and he look on, and it's just like he finally putting everything together. And I don't know if he would be coming. I think it's a hard fight. But I think it's a hard fight for both of them. And outside of Usman, like, I think Masvidal would be harder for him than Usman is. I think if Usman wins, it'd be because he's stronger and happen to be able to hold him down as well. And I think that's the only way that Usman wins that fight, if he can bully him and hold him down. But who have you seen do that to Kobe? Nobody. And then people would say, well, Angel, who have you seen do that to Woodley? Well, nobody ever tried. And if you look at it, Woodley's a guy his style is fast twitch. It's like explode, stop, and he gets tired. Usman's not that explosive guy. He's the guy, the tensile strength guy. I got you against the cage. I'm going to pull you down. So I actually anticipated him being stronger and doing that to Woodley, which is why I picked him to beat Woodley way back before they even were announced to ever fight, when me and James were in that conversation, and Kobe to beat both. Because Kobe seems to have like a better mixture of like fast and slow twitch. Like he can just go and explode and go and pull and yank and everything. And I like the guy as a fighter. You know what I mean? So,
dude, there's nothing to not like about him in the octagon as a fighter. The guy is, in my opinion, and again, I'm basing it mostly off of what I've seen in the Robbie Lawler fight and the Dos Anjos fight and everything else. There is nothing not to like in those two fights from Colby Covington in terms of being a professional mixed martial artist. His cardio, his wrestling, his stand-up, everything. It's amazing to watch. And as a performer, dude, hats off to Colby Covington. I absolutely love to see him fight. And his performance against Robbie Lawler, like I said, I've watched a lot of fucking fights in my life. And I don't know that I've ever seen as offensively a dominant performance as
dude,
he
it
pulled
reminded
off.
me of like the old Super Nintendo game, Killer Instinct, when it just goes, Ultra Combo! He was just going off on him, and Robbie Lawler was trying to shoulder roll. I'm like, dude, you can shoulder roll from like 1 or 2 shots, not from like 400. You got to get out there.
That guy, Robbie Lawler looked absolutely clueless in that fight, and I think the reason is you can't anticipate the pressure until you experience it. And Colby says that. It's like, you think you're ready for this pressure, but until you experience this pressure, you don't know what the fuck this is. Yeah. And I think we saw that perfectly clear with Robbie Lawler, where he's like, what do you mean I don't know the pressure? Come on, I'm Robbie Lawler. I've been in with everybody. I'm a world champion, blah, blah, blah. And he had no answers for it. Nothing.
No, it was crazy. And you know what? Another point, Usman beat all these people after Kobe beat him.
Yes.
And Kobe, if you look at the common opponents between Woodley, Kobe, and Usman, and I think Usman and Kobe have more than Kobe and Woodley off the top of my head, because I think that they all fought Damian Maia, but I think that only Usman and Kobe fought RDA. And Kobe beat them the worse.
Yeah.
Worse than Usman or Woodley. So that
you know what? Here's the thing about,
if you believe in MMA math, that is.
Yeah, here's the thing about Usman. I obviously was blown away by his performance with Woodley, but this is a guy that in his last 3 fights, he beat Woodley, he beat Dos Anjos and Damian Maia, all by decision. But before that, his fights were against guys like Emil Meek and Sergio Moraes.
Dude, and he was scared of Emil Meek.
Yeah,
it reminds
absolutely.
me of when, I'm going old school here for everybody. It reminds me of, do you remember when Paul Daly fought Woodley in Strikeforce and Woodley just hung onto his legs?
Absolutely.
For dude, that was
100%.
the day I started hating Woodley. And that's what it reminded me of. He was holding that dude for dear, like, there's a takedown and like, I got him down, let me whoop that ass. And as much as I hate Matt Hughes as a person, I love how Matt Hughes, he put you down. He's like, hey, I'ma fuck you up. Dude, he was just holding them. He was like, I ain't trying to do nothing but let this 15 minutes run out. And I was like, I don't respect that, man. Like,
100%. 100%.
You know, I don't respect that.
And like Usman, he fought guys, you know, like Warley Alves, Sean Strickland, Sergio Moraes, Emil Meek. I mean, these they're good fighters, obviously. They're UFC quality fighters. But the guy's, his strength of schedule, he's only got wins that I would consider quality, dominant wins, and not even dominant, but good, solid MMA wins over Maia and Dos Anjos before the Woodley fight.
I'm not impressed by any of the resume. And most people be like, Dom, you a hater. Nah, Greg Blackson don't hate. I look at it like this. If you look at his first matchups, the ones you mentioned, it's a fucking dominant wrestler versus strikers. All those guys are strikers. That's set up to be that way.
Yes.
You know, and then after that, you put him against Damian Maia when Woodley and Covington both gave the blueprint that you use wrestling in reverse and you safe. So he had it the easiest with Maia. He had it the easiest.
Yes.
Because 2 others gave the blueprint. If it worked for Woodley, then it worked for Covington. Of course it's going to work for you. And you bigger than both the latter. And then you got RDA, who the blueprint has already been shown he does not deal well with pressure wrestlers. He deals well with Like, I knew he would beat Kevin Lee because Kevin Lee was like, oh, I'm going to use my wrestling, blah, blah, blah. I sat here and I told Tree and I told James he win because Kevin Lee is the response type shooter or the outside shooter, and RDA does well against that. He doesn't do well against the kind that's like, oh, you got me against the fence, pulling me, pushing me, pulling me, pushing me, pulling me, pushing me. He doesn't do well against that. And Covington showed that, and Usman did it after. You know, so I'm like, dude, you getting these guys. That's why when Covington tells him like, oh, you got my sloppy seconds, it's a harsh truth. He did. You know, and I'm like, his whole resume doesn't even impress me. And there's no disrespect to those people, but it's kind of just like Nate said about Conor. Conor, he was getting set up with dudes that I knew he would beat. Like when he fought, first of all, when he fought Eddie Alvarez and didn't even have to fight any of the murderers that I thought can beat Conor, I was like, dude, he's going to whoop Eddie Alvarez's ass. Just stylistically, I knew it. The fight never intrigued me. And when I see Woodley fight, he's never intrigued me because I expected him to win. Because, dude, he's fighting guys that's never been known for their takedown defense. And this dude's Nigerian. You see how big all them Nigerian boys are?
They're big
Man,
boys.
Dude, it was dudes up in Nigerians and Cameroonians up in the club in Bangkok that I was managing. And these dudes don't even work. And they're like, what's up, my brother? And hug me. And they was feeling like Francis Ngannou. I was like, what the fuck? I'm in the gym and you harder than me, dude. It's just a genetic thing. And you got this dude fighting these strikers. Come on, man. The wool be over people's eyes. They need to analyze things as they are, you know?
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, and I don't say this to be disrespectful, but a ton of the people who watch the UFC don't know what they're watching and don't know, like, the history of the sport and all of that. And they only believe what they hear that are said in the previews, you know, in the hype videos and stuff.
But I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is that the reporters don't know what they're talking about. The fighters don't. I've never seen reporters and fighters be fans. Like, it's okay to be a fan of a fighter. I'm not saying you can't be, but like, you know, understand what I'm saying? Like fan, like where you're to the point of being like delusioned about shit. Your job is to report. And you a fighter, so you need to be looking at somebody else like, hey, this is what it is. But they be like, fans. I'm like, come on, man, quit swinging on everybody nuts, guys. Like,
yeah, well, in terms of the MMA media, it's a lot of it is basically they're beholden to the UFC, and they can't report what they feel is the truth. If they do, they get credentials pulled, they get blackballed by the UFC. The UFC PR people no longer direct their fighters to interviews with their sites and stuff, and you got to play the game if you're going to be on that level, but you shouldn't have to. It's horse shit.
Yeah.
And
who did that happen to? Hawani, huh?
Hawani got kicked out of a fucking event. He was sitting cage side, and they packed him up. And when Michael Bisping beat Luke Rockhold, Ariel Hawani was outside. He got kicked out of the arena because he reported the Brock Lesnar signing before the UFC ran their hype video about it.
That's cold blood. I wish I could have seen it though. I remember when I met Ariel Hawani at a strike force like 8 trillion years ago, and I was like, hey man, nice to meet you, blah, blah, and he acted stuck up and said I was gonna fucking uppercut his ass like Ryu did to Sagat. And I was like, man, I ain't cool with this dude. And I don't forget nothing like that.
That's
you know
funny.
what I mean? I don't forget nothing. You should just be cool to everybody. If I was ever a millionaire, I'm still gonna be the same OG. You know what I mean? Like,
the thing is, it's
cool.
weird.
And he
It's
wasn't
like,
even big at the time when I met him.
yeah. The thing about that is, it's like they kicked him out of the event for reporting the news. I mean, he's a fucking reporter. They blackballed Josh Gross for how long now because he reported results from the Ultimate Fighter. It's news. It's already fucking happened. You know, you're a reporter. Your job is to report on the news. You don't have to run everything by the UFC and say, hey, is it okay if I have this source that told me this, and then I confirmed it with 3 other sources, but I don't want to say anything because it might offend you. What horseshit? That's not how it works. You get your source, you get confirmation, and you run the fucking story. And they flat out pulled that guy out of his seat and said, walk this way.
Yeah, that's Did he report the tough results before anybody knew?
Josh Gross? Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Okay, I can see them being kind of upset about that.
I can see them being upset about it too, but Jesus Christ, what has it been, a 10-year banishment from I mean, come on, man. Dana White lost his shit on Loretta Hunt for something, and, it's so petty. He's so petty, and he has such a grudge, He never lets shit go. He is like a woman in that sense.
Dude, they all are. Okay, so let me tell a quick story, so I could be angry again as I relive it. So, Ultimate Fighter 5, right? A lot of people don't know. It's one of my many ripoffs from the UFC, but I got hit up about Tough 5. But me and Nate were on the same team, and they were talking about, like, we're taking Nate for obvious reasons. He's Nick's brother, and they're like, we don't want people on the same team for this, because we don't want people saying they ain't fighting the teammates, it's a show, blah, blah, blah. The next time we do lightweight season, we'll call you. So I never get called for the next lightweight season and stuff. Instead, they call me for Tough, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, like excited to tell my family and everything, and it's for middleweight. And I said no. So I end up getting a call, I think later that day or the next day, from Joe Silva. And he's like, you said no? Like, I'm like, yeah. Nah. And he's like, okay. And it's just like this short, like, okay call. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, but call me for the next lightweight. See, okay. So I never hear nothing. So I'm just dissed. They have the UFC up in Sacramento and shit like that. I see Joe Silva. I'm like, what up? He's like, what's up, Dominic? How you doing? Blah, blah, talking normal. I think it's cool. I'm like, man, get me up motherfucking in there. You got something in the Bay Area? I get more people in there than Uriah and everybody, because, like, I'm from the hood. Let's go. And he's like, you turned down that Tough. And I'm like, huh? And then he's like, yeah, why didn't you do it? I'm like, dude, if I do it, I want to win. I want to try to win. Middleweight is too big. And at the time, I was like a lightweight weighing like 163 pounds. I was like skinny dude, like right by 55 at the time. Like now I'm bigger and cut. But he's like, well, Kenny Florian did it. I'm like, huh? The fuck that Kenny Florian got to do?
How the fuck did that work out for Kenny Florian?
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck that got to do with me? I'm like, I ain't on there. And it's something I thought he would respect, because I told him I'm not going to be on TV or fame or any of that. I'm going to try to really do this. It's my dream to really do this. And he's just like, oh, no, you turned it down. That's your chance. And, dude, for years, grudge against me. Years, man.
So petty.
They kept saying, hey, beat this dude. They said, beat Dave Kaplan. You win. I beat him. Nothing. Beat John Gunderson. You win. Beat him. Nothing. They were like, Taichi Palace was having a tournament. And win the tournament, you win. The finals of the tournament was me and Fabricio Camoes. And Ed Soros, I know him. And he was like, hey, brother, Camoes, he's done his thing. We taking him out the tournament. It's yours. I want you to, that's yours. I want you to get your shine. And me and Ed Soros have had our ups and downs, like the motherfucker open Black House was supposed to let me go, never fucking let me go and shit. We've had our ups and downs, but I never forget that moment and he took Camoes out the tournament. So I won the tournament. They never let me in. And I'm like, dude, and they did that for years. It got all the way up from Tough 5 to Tough 22 when me and Joe Silva finally sat down and we reconciled. That many years, dude. And we reconciled in person by ourselves, man to man. And Joe Silva and my boy Joey Varner, a lot of people don't know, I had no tryouts for Tough 22. And I met Craig Poligman, whatever the hell his name is, and the dude talked to me, and all those Spike TV people fucking loved me. They was like, you on the show. You on, first seed, boom, go get ready for the fights. And then a week before my fight, and I skipped fights in like cool countries I never been to, all this stuff, Spike TV call me and tell me that I'm not fighting anymore and hang up, that I'm off the show. And it was Joe Silva that called me like, hey, you know, we cool now, and you deserve better. And they ain't even telling you. He's like, I fought for you, and it wasn't the UFC's decision. And he says that, like, Spike was getting pressured at the time because Abel Trillo and Anthony Johnson were in the UFC, and they both had cases of domestic violence. So the culinary was pressuring Spike and UFC to take these people out and don't let any more in. And they kept pressuring Spike. And I'm a nobody to Spike, so rather than deal with the pressure, they just took me off. And it was because these people went all the way like a year back in my Instagram, and I was watching an anime called Fate Stay Night at the time, Unlimited Blade Works, and I was posting up images of this fight scene I liked of the female protagonist, and she was beat up and chained up, and they said I was an advocate of domestic violence. I shit you not. So they took me off the fucking show, and Joe Silver said he did everything to keep me on there. So it's crazy. Like, all these people are grudges. And a month later, they signed Cody East, a guy that got cases of domestic violence, sodomy, and everything else under the sun. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. They don't forget any. They don't forget or forgive anything, and the game is twisted. Because I have a million people always being like, "Why aren't you in the UFC? Why aren't you in the UFC?" But that's why. And then any other time they would say, "Oh, go fight this person," or stuff like, "Go beat Joe Daddy Stevenson, you in." After the time is now, go beat Joe Daddy Stevenson, you in. I did that dude up, never got in. And then after that, other times, like I fought Anderson Silva's top lightweight in Vegas with Dana White there to give a contract. And if you look in MMA, I got 5 losses. 4 of them are bullshit. You know, people went to hospital, and I'm standing there at the after party, and I lost. And that's what happened with Anderson's guy, and Dana White comes up. "Man, you got ripped off." Everybody coming up, "Man, you got ripped off." I said, "Give me the contract, homie." He was like, "But you still lost." But I'm not giving it to him either. I said, "I don't give a fuck I don't hate on no other man. Just give me my shit so my family can eat." So the game's fucked up, man. People don't know the inside, you know? And I know you know the inside better than most, but even you don't get to hear about shit like this, you know? And
that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah. They don't forget anything, though, man. I don't even know how many years that is from Tough 5 to 22 before I can reconcile with a dude just because I don't want to fight 2 weight classes up. I didn't even do anything better. So imagine if you actually do something they don't like they really don't like reporting the news. They ain't never letting that man back in, you know? They ain't never letting that man back in. That shit's fucked up.
It's crazy, dude. It's a world gone mad. You know what else we need to touch on here real quick before we get going is Cyborg Santos. And her leaving the UFC and Dana White releasing her outright and saying that they're out of the Cyborg business after she released her doctored footage of the backstage conversation they had. So much drama.
Dude, you know what? I was on her side. Like, I know her boyfriend, Ray Elby. You know what I mean? Ray need to give me some fucking fights, man. I don't trust nobody in MMA no more. But whatchamacallit, I know him, and I met her a few times when she come to Phuket. The nicest, sweetest fucking woman ever. And I was on her side 100% because they treat that woman like shit. Until, you know, because we keeping it Trill on here, until the video came out. When I saw the video and it clearly was what he wasn't saying, when I watched it, I was like, oh no. And then the next day I saw Misha Tate with an interview saying the same thing, like, oh no. Then the next day I saw everybody else like, oh no. Then like 2 days after that, they're like, we done. I'm like, dude, you had everybody's empathy, rightfully so, and then you do this?
Yeah, that shit looked like a Godzilla movie, man.
It did. It was like the old school Godzilla movies, like, oh no, it's Godzilla and the mouth's still moving.
Yeah, the words and the lips were not matching up.
You can't do that, man. So You know what? I was on her side, but now I'm more on his side because I would be mad. I always tell people, don't quote me, but don't put words in my fucking mouth. So I tell people that, so I can't not be on Dana's side because I know it pisses me off if people put words in my mouth.
Yeah, that's filthy.
I think that before he let her go, because she apologized, he should have said, come fucking meet me now. But hey, I don't know if you heard about this. Dana White put out everywhere, I will give her a 1-fight contract for Amanda Nunes. She's saying she really wants this fight, and this is after the video. He put this out. She says she really wants this fight. I'll prove to you guys that she don't. I give her a 1-fight contract versus Amanda Nunes, win or lose. We done after that. And it ain't signed. So to me, now I'm 100% on Dana's side. Because if you're willing to do that to prove your point that she didn't want to fight Nunes, now she has to take it. Because if she doesn't, who do you think was telling the truth the whole time at that point? You know?
See, I hear what you're saying, but I'm on the opposite side of the fence on that.
Okay, let me hear. I'm
There's
curious.
no such fucking thing as a 1-fight contract with a championship fight, because every contract has a built-in championship clause. If you get a 1-fight contract, that's why she wouldn't fight Amanda Nunes on the last fight of her deal. Because if she won that fight and became champion, there's a championship clause. She's under contract then at that point for another X amount of time. And if you think Dana White's going to let Cris Cyborg fight Amanda Nunes and then walk away from the UFC as the UFC champion and show up at Bellator with the belt on her shoulder, you're fucking crazy. That's never going to happen. There's always going to be something in the contract that says it's a 1-fight contract with a championship clause in it. And here's the thing. I don't give a shit what anybody says on both sides of the deal. Cris Cyborg is not afraid of any fucking buddy. If she would fight Amanda Nunes again, but she wants the deal to be right. She wants a new contract with championship money in place. If she doesn't get that, she's not going to take that fight. If Dana White would truly do what he said and say, here's a 1-fight contract, win or lose, you're free to leave after this fight, then if she didn't take it, then sure, you might say, okay, well, she's ducking her. But you'll never know that because there's no such thing. There's always a championship clause. But
see, we don't know, though. That's the crazy thing, because, see, to play devil's advocate, I think that Dana White is so sure. You have to remember the man has ego.
He shouldn't be this sure about it, though.
He's so sure that she won't beat Nunes. I think he actually might give her that 1-fight deal. And did you hear what he was saying? Like, this is how shitty they treat that woman.
That's why I'm saying.
He lost to Felicia Spencer, and I'm going to be real. Or let me change that. I'm going to be Trill. After she lost to beat Felicia Spencer, who, you know what I mean, that's a tough woman. I like that woman. But after she beat her, in my mind, I was like, if she had that same performance versus Amanda Nunes, she would get knocked out again. But if I'm the promoter, why the fuck promoter? You know, pro.
Exactly.
Why am I going to be saying this about the person who just won? You know what I mean? That don't make sense. And he was out there saying it like, oh, we know if she fought Nunes like that, she would lose. And here's the thing. I agree with him. But you ain't supposed to say that about a promoter, about an athlete who just won. But my point is, I feel like he believes that so much, he would give Cyborg that 1-fight deal.
I think he says that because he has no interest.
Too.
He has no interest in ever allowing Cyborg to fight in the UFC again. And I think he said that to bury her on her way out the door. If you watch that fight again, I honestly believe that Joe Rogan and the other announcers were instructed to bury Cris Cyborg on the way out the door. Because if you watch that fight, she beat the fucking brakes off of Felicia. And all you heard Rogan saying was, oh, nice left hand by Felicia. Wow, Felicia sure is tough to take these shots. And Felicia's got a lot of heart. She's winning over all the fans. They were given instructions to bury her on the way out the door because they have a contentious relationship with Cyborg. And I think Dana knew that Cyborg was not coming back for any reason. So they buried her during the broadcast, and then Dana went backstage and buried her on the microphone. And then she did her thing with releasing the fake video. She can say whatever she wants about how that wasn't her, that was her team. But nobody's going to release shit on my account that I don't approve. You know what? People say,
talk about that commentary on that fight. I remember a lot of people were like, oh, they were biased against her and all this stuff. I want to watch it again now because when I watched it, I never personally took anything that way. And I always listen to the commentary, but now I feel like I might have missed something. I have to watch it again.
Dude, Rogan fucking was all over Felicia. Just talking about how great she is, how tough she is. I mean, she got outstruck one round like 47-6, and all you heard was how great her left hook was. I mean, she got fucking wrecked in that fight.
Yeah, she got beat up. I respected her gamemanship. I respected it. But yeah, I do remember the only thing I thought is that they talked about her gamemanship more than what Cyborg was doing to her. I remember thinking that. But when I was reading on the internet, from my understanding, a lot of people felt like they were down-talking Cyborg. And when I watched it, I never got that impression personally.
Yeah, see, I 100% did. I walked away from that fight thinking, wow, they just fucking buried her.
That I have to watch it again.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I don't think she'll ever fight in the UFC again. I don't think Dana White is actually being... And here's the thing. You know how you know Dana White's not telling the truth? His fucking lips are moving. That fucking guy lies about everything. You don't know what you're getting the straight story from him. You don't know what you're getting from Cyborg. There's her side, there's his side, and there's the truth. But this is a guy that referred to her as Vanderlei Silva in a dress, and then stuttered and then walked around the stage and did an imitation of her. This is a guy that laughed when Joe Rogan said to make weight, she cuts off her penis. You know, during his podcast on an airplane. Dana White laughed at that and encouraged that as a promoter of her fights with her under contract to him. They have never had what you would consider a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I felt a lot of that stuff was just wrong. It's just shit you don't do to a woman, period. You know?
There's no need for it. It's not professional in any size, shape, or form. And listen, this is the same guy that goes on the internet, and anytime someone says something bad about a UFC card, he calls them fucking goofs and losers and says go watch tennis or figure skating or whatever.
I wrote that motherfucker hella times like, hey, what's up with them promised shots in the UFC, motherfucker? What's up with this and that? He don't respond to that. But if anybody say anything bad, he writes them back like 500 times.
It's because he feeds on negativity, man. He's part of the negative machine, the UFC. They thrive on negative shit. They don't want positive. How many uplifting stories do you see about the fighters and everything? I mean, there are so many fighters out there, that Conor McGregor and John Jones, that are out there just doing horrific shit all the time.
Yeah.
And how often do we get to hear the things that Daniel Cormier is doing, you know, for his community and his local high school wrestling team?
Well, they just did do that E60 thing, which I want to see. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet either, no.
I hear it's good. I hear it's really good. I want to see it. I thought it would be on Fight Pass, but these bastards probably trying to make me buy them ESPN too. Like we got money out here. For all I know, the UFC, how much money they taking from fighters, they probably taking some of my money, and I ain't even signed with them.
There you go. They got their hand in your pocket too.
Okay, hold on. Speaking of Cormier, we got to lead in to his fight now. Cormier, Stipe too. I don't even want to lead in.
Fuck. Do you know, you and I, it's crazy because we watched it, like you said, together, and we were both completely dumbfounded about the change in the fight between the first round and the second round. In the first round, he came out, he low kicked the leg, he got the single leg takedown, he controlled Stipe completely, and then completely abandoned the low kick after that. Completely abandoned the ability to try and shoot for takedowns. He started trying to stalk and walk Stipe down with an 8-inch reach advantage and decided, fuck it, I'm just going to brawl with a guy who's bigger, stronger, hits harder, has a huge reach advantage. It's like everything good that he game planned, he just threw away. And then Stipe, man, I'll tell you what, when he went to work with those body shots, you and I were watching it, and it's like, oh shit, those body shots are paying dividends. And, I knew like 45 seconds before the fight was over that it was over. You could see it on Daniel Cormier's face. He's done. He's just fading. He's done. I don't understand it.
Nothing made sense to me. I was just so upset. And you know, DC, if I have a favorite fighter right now, it's DC. I like everything that he stands for as a damn human being.
Same
and
here.
To see such an incredible person and athlete and do the dumbest shit I've ever seen in recent memory, besides that guy that fought, what's that fucking guy name that everybody jumping all over him? The white
Shane O'Malley? Shane O'Malley?
The guy that could have just made him stand up and win a fight but kept going to the ground with him. This is the second dumbest shit I've seen, and unfortunately it comes from DC. And you know, like Robert Crazy Bob Cook is a strategical genius, and I'm like, was he not saying anything? Like, I would have grabbed him, gave him the black power fist straight to his fucking eye in between rounds and been like, get your fucking shit together. Sometimes you need to do that. You gotta be like, hey, get your shit fucking together and give somebody the black power fist right in their fucking shit in between rounds. Cause you know what? I was watching the Embedded at like death o'clock in the morning, and I was like, man, I don't like anything I'm seeing from DC. I feel like he's going to lose. And I went to sleep and I had a dream that he lost. And then he lost. And it was like in the Embedded and everything. And even at the wins, he's like, yeah, this guy's saying this. Watch what I'm going to do to him. How can I beat him better than the first time? This guy's scared of me. Oh, his hands are harder, blah, blah. And I was like, I've never seen DC like this. Usually, besides the John Jones fight, he confident, but he chilled the fuck out. Now he's like talking about how the guy got bigger and stronger and his hands are hard and he can't beat him any better than the first time, and he's only fighting him because he didn't fight Brock and this and that, and how can he beat him better than the first time, and how he's going to bully him and he can't be touched and this. And I was like, I don't like him any other time. And I don't like when people don't sound like they always sound. It's like if I see a dude do a backflip before every fight and he always winning, if I see him fight and he don't do that backflip first, you know, I'm Creole, so I'm superstitious. I'm gonna be like, something's wrong here. And when I saw him like that, I was like, I don't like this. It doesn't seem like the DC that I'm used to seeing before a fight. And like you said, in the first round, he's sticking the jab out. He's using head movement. His hands are up. He's using the 1-2. He's using the inside low kick, the right low kick, the single leg to the dump, or the lift actually. And I'm like, okay, or the single leg to the high crotch to the lip. I'm like, okay, I like this. And then the second round, you know, and I mentioned this to you the first time, the first fight he lost on the outside, if you remember.
Yes.
Like he was losing on the outside. And then he put his hands down in that fight. He started grabbing Stipe's hands, and Stipe would grab his hands back and he would punch off the grab, and he was just walking him down with his hands down, reaching out for his hands. And then he ends up knocking him out. Most might not recognize, but he went back to that in rounds 2 and 3. But the difference is sometimes Stipe was grabbing his hands and getting hit because he was doing damage to Stipe. But this time, unlike the first time, Stipe was sometimes grabbing his hands and hitting him. And the discrepancy started to change from grabbing hands and him hitting Stipe more to grabbing hands and Stipe hitting him more. And I'm like, okay, this clearly isn't working this time around. Number one. Number two, why'd you get away? Like, I understand the adjustment in the first fight because you were losing on the outside. You had to make an adjustment to try to come back, and it worked. You were winning on the outside this fight and switched to an adjustment that didn't need to be made, that wasn't working, and never switched it again, which was mind-boggling.
I can't help but think that we're going to hear something in the next few days, that something happened to him in the end of the first round or between rounds, that he had an injury of some kind, that for whatever reason he couldn't throw the low kick anymore. Because nothing else makes sense to me. You have the blueprint for how
he just did it.
If he did, it's very unlike Daniel Cormier. I mean, I don't know, dude.
Dude, I didn't see anything that looked injured. Like, you remember when...
No, I didn't either.
His mannerisms changed, and we were both like...
Yeah, I think he's hurt to the body.
Or like he twisted a rib or something, like something happened, or he got hurt with a shot we didn't see. You can tell in the mannerism, and we knew it was to the body. Cormier never showed me any signs that he got hurt by Stipe at that point of switching between rounds, or that he hurt himself doing the damage to Stipe in the first. I never saw any indication of that. It just looked like he switched.
I didn't either. I'm just trying to think of a reason why he completely abandoned the game plan that worked so well for him. And you can say,
I give you the reason he smoked that shit that Nate Diaz smoked on stage at the fucking pre-workout.
well, there you go. That'll do it. You smoke that devil's lettuce and all fucking bets are off.
He smoked that crocodile or so. I don't know what happened to DC fucking between fucking rounds. Somebody gave him that Louisiana fucking juice in his water bottle or
something happened.
I don't know. It was bizarre. And then here's the thing. In boxing, they always tell you an absolute no-no is leading with a liver shot. Do you remember Rashad Evans? KOing Chuck Liddell with the overhand when Chuck Liddell met with the liver shot? Why did he lead with the liver shot on somebody like 20 feet shorter than him, and he was able to land it, first of all?
Over and over.
And then over and over, a lead liver shot over and over. And it was like Cormier had no answer for it. And then it was like, he's like 20 feet shorter, so he shouldn't be getting liver shot by Stipe anyways, but he did it over and over. And once that started happening over and over, I was like, he's going to fucking lose. Because it started looking like it hurt him. And he already had his hands down. If you have a person with their hands up and they get a hard body shot, their hands lower. That's the point of it. So what do you think is going to happen with a person whose hands are down getting the body shot? His hands were like by his fucking nutsack. And then he caught the right hand like 22 times in a row and got finished. I'm like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah, it's funny because we were watching it and my phone just blows up when he loses. And it's just like, everyone's like, what happened? What did he do? Why did he do that? It's like, fuck, man, I wish I knew. It doesn't make sense to me either. But I guess at the end of the day, you got to give credit where it's due. Stipe, man.
Yeah, because he took some shots. Stipe was taking some shots. He got hurt a few times, but he was like, hey, you know the thing about it is, and people be like, it's disrespectful, but I don't give a shit, is Cormier didn't lose to a better fighter. He lost to himself.
He definitely put himself in a position to have happen what happened. He definitely put himself at a disadvantage after clearly indicating to everybody in the first round that he had the blueprint and understood what to do to win the fight. And then he just seemingly went away from it for whatever reason and got himself, he put himself in that deep water and couldn't get out of it.
He drowned himself, didn't he?
You just gotta wonder too at some point. And again, dude, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. I love Daniel Cormier. He is my absolute favorite fighter. But you have to wonder at some point, at age 40, with the money that the guy has, and with all the other things that he's doing, the commentary, the new show on ESPN, the coaching the high school wrestling team, a potential offer from an outside company to come do commentary, you have to wonder if his heart is in it as much as it's been in the past.
I don't think, dude, I was just talking about that on the Embedded. I was like, oh, how can I beat him better than the first time? I honestly feel like the only people that guy should be fighting, the only people, it's three people to me. If Brock Lesnar appeared, just because it's a payday.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou, because he beat Kane, and you know how close they are.
Yes.
That will motivate DC, or John Jones. I don't feel like anybody else he should fight. Because what's the fucking point?
There's
no point.
From a selfish perspective, I don't want him to fight John Jones again. Because I don't like John Jones at all, and I don't want to see DC lose to John Jones a third time. I don't want to see
it at light heavyweight. I
don't want to see it ever, anywhere, at anything.
See, I would want to see it at heavyweight. I would want to see it at heavyweight because I'm curious. Like, both fights were competitive. I'm curious how a not diminished DC would do against them. I am curious about that from an athletic and competitive standpoint. But outside of heavyweight, I would never want to see that.
I don't want to see DC take another fight unless it's with Brock Lesnar. That's the only fight that I would be like, okay, cool, let's see it. I don't want to see him fight John Jones. I don't want to see him fight Ngannou. At this point, why? What's the point? The guy's financially secure. He's got all the opportunities in the world outside of fighting. He's got a young family that he can spend time with. I don't want to see it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking to like a BJ Penn situation where he's lost 7 in a row and 9 of 10 and I don't want to see him because he's such a diminished form of his former self. We're not talking about Daniel Cormier in that fashion. Daniel Cormier can still fucking fight, obviously.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see a guy who doesn't have to fight for the UFC anymore continue to fight. Daniel Cormier's legacy is set. You know, I just walk away from it. That's what I want to see him do.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't want to see him fight Ngannou. I would want to see him, but Brock, I would want to see him fight just because I'm intrigued and it's funny and I know he would get paid.
Yeah,
that's
the
John
exact
Jones. I would want to see it just because I feel like you have to try. And you know, maybe some guys, maybe as a fighter, maybe it's too much. But it's like, fuck, you have to try. You know what? But actually, let me backtrack. Now, I guess I don't care if it happens or not because he's lost to someone other than Jones. Now, at this point. So I don't feel like he has to get it back. If his only loss was still John Jones, I feel like, okay, try one more time.
I can see that too.
You know, but now
I can see that too. I think we're going to see John Jones fight Stipe, man.
Yeah, I do too. John Jones is a piece of shit. You remember how he kept talking about he want to go up to heavyweight and do this, and then as soon as DC is the heavyweight champ, he's like, I'm not going to go up there and give him an advantage.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, John Jones. Okay.
Yeah, don't get me started on John Jones. I can't stand the guy. And it's so tough, too, because he's another guy. I just respect the shit out of him in the cage and what he accomplishes as a fighter. But as a human being, he's just done so much shitty stuff. It's like Matt Hughes. Inside the octagon, I used to love to watch him perform. Outside the octagon, he was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I used to like Matt Hughes perform too. I was like, man, I wish I was that strong. Then I realized he was racist. I was like, fuck you.
Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg with Matt Hughes, man.
Yeah. And then with John Jones, I'm going to tell you like this, man. Can I get racial here? Mr.
I'm not gonna. If someone's gonna, it's gonna be you.
Okay, you won't do it. But I got the black card pass, so I'm gonna do
Boom.
it. I'm gonna tell you something. Black people as a whole are always blaming a lack of opportunity or bad shit that happens on white people. And I will tell you, the media depicts this some, but you have to be black to know how far it actually goes. You know, like, if you are black and in the black community, you know how far it goes. Like, there are so many, we're not getting opportunities because of white people. White people did this and that. And don't get me wrong, a lot of it is fucking true. But I will tell you like this. I've been helped by white people more than I've ever been helped by black people. I don't know what it is about black people not helping black people, hating on black people, and fucking shit up for black people, namely themselves. And John Jones reminds me of all of that. And it makes me so angry. When he first came out, I'm like, yeah, young brother, you out here doing spinny shit, doing this and that. I'm happy for you, brother, blah, blah, blah. You know, and I'm like, I love black people doing well. I like anybody doing well, but especially black people, because the media portrays so few is doing anything good. They want everybody to just think all black people like, oh yeah, they just niggas. But so I like when they doing something good, and I'm like, man, yeah. Then he started beating people and lost his fucking mind. And I don't know if you've noticed, two things happen in the UFC, and I hate both of them. For some reason, debuting black people, they always put them against a black person. I'm like, there's barely any black people in here. Why are you always putting them against a black person? And then the second thing is, have you ever noticed how many times black people are like in a war with black people in the UFC? Like Anthony Johnson had a problem with Cormier and John Jones had a problem with Rashad and Quentin Jackson and Cormier and Anthony Johnson. And it's like, I'm like, come on, dude. Why are you guys not getting along and being like, brother, let me help you out? They always end up hating each other. And then John Jones ends up being and doing exactly what they expect a black person to do. Dumb shit and fucking up his own life. I mean, this guy, God has given him anything. I remember I was like a VIP security, right, in Vegas.
Yeah.
For all these rich people and like Hakkasan as well, which is the biggest nightclub in the world. And John Jones came there married high as fuck coming in. Then he leaves married with a bunch of women, high as fuck, leaving out and on cocaine. So I'm like one of the first people who knew he was doing that shit. And I'm like talking to him like, dude, come on, brother, what the fuck wrong with you? Like, go home, be safe. And I'm trying to tell him this, black man to black man. And he's like, you beat my friend, Tommy Truex, didn't you? I'm like, hey, brother, I'm talking about you being on fucking cocaine and go home. You doing dumb shit. And he just keeps bringing up how I beat his teammate. And then he starts threatening to whoop my ass in the club. I'm like, hey, dude, I just shoot you. I ain't gonna sit there fighting John Jones. Don't fucking come up on me. Like, I don't play no games, dude. Like, the fuck. And I'm just like, oh my God, man. Like, everything you hear, that even if you don't want to believe it, is true. And I'm like, come on, black people. That's why I gotta get racial on you here, man. Black people, like, let's fucking stop, man. And I be wishing well. Whenever I see him, I'm like, yeah, I wish that black man well. Then they do some dumb shit, man. They do some dumb shit every time. It's crazy, man. They either find black people or doing some shit, and then everybody like, yeah, that's how black folks. So I'm like, no, man, we ain't all like that. And then John Jones got to be back in the news 50,000 times doing that shit, man.
That's funny.
It's bad, man. It's so fucking bad. I feel like he just leaned down just the black fucking race. Like, you know how much positivity he could give? You know how many people, brothers I know in different bad neighborhoods that could look up to somebody like that and be like, hey, man, those words inspire me, blah, blah, blah. Instead, they're like, yeah, I want to get a fucking Bentley and have some mistress crashing into a fucking car. Let me hit pregnant fucking women and go run back for the weed instead of helping them. Let me get caught with those picograms. I'm like, come on, dude.
And you know what's funny about it is, like, on the other hand, you have Demetrius Johnson, who's like a family man, a great guy, never gets into a fucking scrap of trouble.
And they hate him.
And the UFC shit all over him.
They hated him. And I tell you like this, DJ the realest motherfucker I know, I wrote him on Twitter. I said, hey, my son wants to learn how to get into gaming, online gaming, blah, blah, blah. This motherfucker wrote me back long thing. Here's some programs he can start with. Here's the good cameras to get. You need cheaper cameras. Here's this and that, blah, blah, blah. You need any other help? Hit me up. This, that. Anytime I write him, he write back.
DJ's good people, dude.
Like Kevin Lee. I've helped Kevin Lee and shit like that hella times, and I write Kevin Lee online and don't even get a fucking response. You know what I mean? And you got dudes like Demetrius out there, and they hated his guts. To me, my personal opinion, what I was taught coming from the boxing community, pound for pound means, because everybody got shitty meaning, it means you take this person's current skill and you put it in every single weight class and hypothetically say if they would beat the best of that weight with those skills that they do have. That's
yes.
That's what it was taught to me, because everybody changes the shit nowadays. That's what, and boxing community is what made pound for pound. That's what I was taught it was.
That is, in my mind, what it is too.
Yes, to me, Demetrius Johnson is the pound for pound. His skills, if you took those skills and put it at any division, he would win, especially the upper ones, because nobody could push shit together like that. And it's like, come on, man. And you treat this dude like he was a leper, you know?
Oh, yeah. They treated him so bad. And the guy, all he does is fucking win fights, do promotion, not get in any trouble, never puts his fucking dick where it's not supposed to be, never says something that's out of line, and they want nothing to fucking do with him.
Man. If he would have got out there and crip walked or blood walked after a fight, they'd have been like, man, look at that motherfucker, and they would have kept him, though, if he would have done some dumb shit. And you know what's crazy? I'm a conspiracist here. I feel like, my personal opinion is he won the second Cejudo fight.
I 100% agree.
But I felt like he won. And when it went to a decision, I said, they gonna give it to Cejudo because they don't want this motherfucker as champion anyways, and then he's gonna be gone. And look what happened. They gave it to Cejudo and he's gone. And then after he was gone, I was like, watch they keep the flyweight division. And look what happened. They kept the flyweight division. And if people look on my Twitter way back, I was tweeting about all that. I was like, if it goes, But when the fight started, I said if it goes to decision, they're giving it to Cejudo. And then after he was going, DJ was going, I tweeted how they gonna keep the flyweight division, and all that shit happened. Now they got Henry Cejudo talking about he triple C and being a fucking geek. Hey, but let me be real though, Henry Cejudo, that motherfucker gangster though when he fight, because I didn't expect him to do that to Marlon Moraes, or Marlon Moraes, but and look, they love him. They love him.
Yeah, now he's calling out fucking Valentina Shevchenko.
Valentina put the bullet on him, man.
Yeah.
I'm voting on Valentina if they fight.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd like to see it, but we'll never see it. But he's just so cringy, man. To me, he's another guy, and we've talked about this. You know how I feel about it. I don't like make-believe personas. I don't like it. It's stupid. Guys in the professional wrestling do it because they're skilled actors and they can do it. These guys in MMA can't fucking pull it off. And they look horrendous. And it's a horrible look. It's transparent. It's ridiculous. And I fucking hate it. And that's why I can't get behind Cejudo. I can't get behind Colby Covington. As great as they are in the cage, and they are both great, I fucking cringe every time I see them. And I can't stand them.
Dude, he came out looking like the fucking Burger King dude.
With that rubber snake?
And then I was like, this can't get any worse than it is. Then he had like a magic hat with like rabbits and snakes and butterflies coming. I was like, holy shit. What the fuck? I couldn't even believe what I was looking at. I was like, Jesus. And Dana White was like, yeah, this is fucking great. This is why I love this kid. He has a fucking magic hat. This is great. I was like, oh my God, dude, get me on there. Let's get this real shit fucking going. This 41510 fucking shit. I give you something you like,
It's
but
like they gave a fucking 12-year-old a gift certificate to Party Plus store.
Dude, he
looked
like
crazy.
The Mad Hatter out of Beyond the Looking Glass.
Yeah, it was not a good situation. It was literally one of the worst things I've ever seen. And I'm over it. I'm over all of those guys acting like that and doing that shit. Dude, I can't stand it.
Dan, what about that new shit he does when he looks in the camera and flexes and he starts going, like Ultimate Warrior?
I hate it.
That shit's great.
That
should be having me laughing though. I mean, like, this shit's too crazy for me, man. I don't even know what I'm watching anymore.
I know it. It's just like, I just watch it and I'm just like, first of all, I want to know, here's what I want to know when I see stuff like that. Who the fuck is helping him do PR? And how did they get into that line of work?
No, what about Eric though? I don't remember his last name. His coach that wear the glasses. Remember his last name. Why is he always standing in the background of any interview with 2 belts over his shoulder?
I know it.
Crazy. Hey, you gonna hate me for it, but that shit be having me laughing, dude, cause it's so fucking ridiculous.
It is.
Oh my God.
It is. You're absolutely right.
Did you see Henry Cejudo on TMZ? And then his coach was in the background holding the 2 belts like a bodyguard even on TMZ, dude. Oh. That's just crazy.
That is so MMA. That is so MMA.
And look at us sitting here talking about it like some jackasses.
Yeah, I know. Fuck, man. We're MMA too. We're just part of the fucking problem.
We became sheeple and we didn't even know it. That's how it gets.
We're shining the flashlight on the fucking circus freaks.
We got our wires reset. We didn't even realize it.
There you go.
Man. Okay, so coming forward, what are you looking forward to coming up?
Well, obviously, I'm looking forward to the fight in Abu Dhabi with Dustin Poirier and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I think that's going to be.
What's your pick?
Oh, Khabib. It's always Khabib.
Yeah, I got Khabib, but I actually think it might be a tough fight.
I do too. I think that Daniel Poirier. What am I talking about? I think of Daniel Cormier. Dustin Poirier is an awesome fighter. I love him. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a good dude too, and that goes a long way with me. But I just think Khabib Nurmagomedov is just on another level. The guy is just fantastic. He plays game.
Fight card. I'm gonna look it up while you're talking.
Yeah, it's UFC 2. It's like in 2 weeks, I think. It's coming up pretty soon.
UFC what, 242?
242. Yeah, I know that Paul Felder's fighting Edson Barboza, which
I
is
don't like that. Why
What?
are they fighting again? No, because I don't see the point in them fighting again. Like, I like a second fight with people when there's a story behind it. It just seems a weird time for it. You don't feel that way?
I mean, I agree there's not a lot of build for it, and it's not, something that I was knocking down the door to see before they announced it. But I think it's going to be a hell of a good fight.
Yeah, it will be for sure. Okay, we got Khabib Poirier. I got Khabib. We got Edson Paul Felder. Who do you have?
I got Paul Felder.
I do too this time, actually.
Yeah.
We got Islam Makhachev, Davey Ramos.
Oh,
People
dude.
sleeping on that one.
Yeah, I think that Makhachev wins that fight.
You do? Oh, man.
Yeah, I do. I think he does. I think he wins the fight.
I don't know, because Davey Ramos, dude, he's like a little lightweight Pajarez or something.
Yeah,
See
he's
how
good.
buff that dude is?
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
That's no that sense.
Those dudes, they are pretty fucking big.
You know what? I might have Makhachev in that fight, too, because I think he got the wrestling to keep it up. Okay, Curtis Blades fighting. I don't give a damn.
Same here.
Mirabek Tysonov is fighting Carlos Diego Ferreira. I like Tysonov.
Yeah, you and me both. I think he wins that fight. I'm a big fan of his, too.
Me, too. I was watching him before UFC. You know what? We was kicking it out in Phuket together, too, eating dinner together. I was with all the Chechens, because real recognized motherfucking real, and them Chechens, the Dagestani real. They was like, all right, we can fuck with this Oakland dude. And I had a Daniel Cormier moment because we were shaking hands, and I was like, why are your hands that hard? I had a Daniel Cormier moment. I was like, this hand's hard as hell. That dude hands is stone, man. But I like Tyson Moff. Oh, here's a good one. Magomed Masvidal versus Don Madge.
Oof. That is a good fight.
I got Masvidal. Masvidal is one of the lightweights to me that gets no credit. The only person he fought Rafael, what's his name? My dude, my homie manages him.
Did he fight him?
Yeah. Rafael Fiziev.
Oh yeah,
got
Fiziev.
signed to UFC, yeah.
That was his last fight, yeah.
Yeah, my Kyrgyzstani dude. I know his wife and everything like that. And Fiziev is good on the feet, and he blasted him out of the water, man.
Yeah.
Out of the water.
He's a fun fighter for sure.
Yeah, Don Madge is a very good kickboxer, but dude,
Yes.
Fiziev has wrestling and everything. I have that. What else is on there? Belal Muhammad is fighting Takashi Sato. That's interesting.
Dude, I'm a big fan of Belal Muhammad. I have been since he came into the UFC. I like him. I like his style. I like the way he fights. I like his persona. He seems very chill.
He's doing into the banger, so that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, that'll be a good fight.
What else do we got? We got Nordine Taleb versus Salah. Dude, I'm going to tell you like this. I'm about to hater shit. Are you going to join me in the haters ball, Mr. Rose?
It depends. It depends on what you're going to say. But yeah, I'm not above hating.
Yeah, I'm going in the haters ball with Dave Chappelle right now. So you heard what happened to me with Tough, right?
Yes.
Why did Nordine Taleb go on Tough, lose, get to go on another Tough, lose, and then got signed to the UFC?
I don't know. That doesn't pencil with me either. I don't quite understand how that happened. That's a good point. I never actually thought about that. But yeah, that's...
Yeah, I gotta hate just cause.
But
I can never like him just after that. I can't like him at all.
I will
Plus,
double down.
And it's shit anyways. But even if he wasn't, I can't even like him after that. I'm like, nah, dude, I can't. You know your boy DZ, I can't mess with you, man. I can't do it.
I'll hate with you. I'm on it. I like it. Co-sign.
Okay, good.
I'm co-signing.
I'm happy. And he's fighting Muslim Salikov, the Sandot champion.
Yeah, that should be a good fight. Well,
I think this is Muslim's fight back after he got popped for some shit.
Yeah. I think you might be right. I don't know how that off the top of my head.
Everybody on that shit. Mr. Rose. Everybody.
Everybody's on that shit. And then we got
Joanne Calderwood versus Andrea Lee. I like that fight.
Well, let me just say this. If JoJo Calderwood is fighting, I'm cheering for her, no matter who it is.
Dude, got such a cute little voice.
That's why I love that girl. Her voice is cute. She's cute as a button. And she's scrappy as shit. She will go in there and bleed and swear and cuss and fight and kick and fucking scrape. I love her.
See, you more professional here because I'm a pervert. So I just like her cute little voice because I'm a pervert.
Yeah, I try to keep away from that. If I got perverse, I'd get in all kinds of trouble because there's plenty of things about plenty of these women fighters that I like. But.
No, but all things aside, I always liked Joanne Carterwood because I remember when it came to Muay Thai clinch, she was the only woman I seen doing it.
Yeah.
You know? She was the only woman I seen doing it, and I was like, man, I like this girl. But now my girl is, my two girls that I like, that I'm fanboying over, is the little, I don't know if she Brazilian, the Bull or whatever from AKA.
I don't know who you're talking about.
She fought, a good fighter. What's her name? Leva Souza or whatever. She just fought a few UFCs ago. Brianna.
Yes.
Brianna Van Buren or something like that is her name. Like Brianna Van Buren, the Bull or something. And she fought like Liv Souza or Leva Souza, a good fighter. And she was all over. I was like,
Brianna Van Buren. That's exactly right.
I was like, who's this girl, man? First of all, you know, she had a padunker, and I'm black, so I'm always looking. And it's all forward motion, punches, kicks, wrestling, strong, unlimited cardio. I was like, who? I'm a fanboy. And then the other one that I was like half a fanboy, and then she just fought again, is the Brazilian that just beat what's her name? Ticia Torres.
Oh yeah, that's oh god, I can't remember.
Marina Rodriguez or something.
Yeah, is that her name? I can't.
I think so. I think it's Marina Rodriguez, the Brazilian.
Yeah.
Her kickboxing is dope. She got like that real Muay Thai, like I see some of these girls doing here in Thailand. I was like, whoa. And I remember that first fight in the UFC, she fought, I can't even remember her. Long old school fighter that used to fight in Bellator that was one of the best from American Top Team, whose name slips my mind right now. And
was it Jessica Aguilar?
Yeah, Jessica Aguilar.
Yeah, I remember that fight.
Now she beat up Ticia Torres, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
I even wrote on Instagram, like, I'm a fanboy, and she just put hearts on it. She was like, you better be. I'm like, I am. I don't got
she
no
looked good on
problem.
the Dana White Contender Series, too. I remember watching her fight on that.
I heard she fought on that. I didn't get to see it. She looked good there, too?
Yeah, she got a first-round stoppage in that, I believe.
Yeah, she's badass. I like that, dude. Her takedown defense on point, her cardio. She punch, kick, knee, elbow. She got it all together, man. I like her. I'm looking forward to seeing what both those ladies do.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? So we gonna wrap up or what? Or you got
let's wrap it up, man. We got more. I mean, there are some good cards coming in the next month or two that we're going to talk about. We got a fight that I'm absolutely excited for, but we don't need to get into that card just yet. But it's Donald Cerrone and Justin Gaethje headlining that Vancouver card.
I'm looking forward to that too.
Dude, that's going to be...
Next show, we got to talk about that.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of good fights on that fucking card, dude.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, everybody, if you want that Trill, you know where to come. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow me. Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube, PlayStation Network, everything at Fall Angel 510, bringing it to you live and direct. You can check out my fights, my music, everything else. Keep up with your boy. And Mr. Rose?
Yeah, follow me, man. Hit me up on Dan Rose MMA on Twitter and follow us on Trill Talk MMA on Twitter. And, you know, you can hit us up on Instagram, also Dan Rose MMA. And, you know, we'll interact with you guys. That's one thing that we can tell you is if you have a question or if you have something you want to talk to us about, by all means, man, hit us up. We'll get some questions on the next show maybe. And we're here to talk about what's real and what's true, like he said, and we're not going to candy coat anything. We're not beholden to anybody, so we're going to speak the truth and say what we want to say all the goddamn time.
Yes, sir. And sometimes I'm going to try to work it out with Mr. Rose. I talked to him after this, but I have a lot of fighter friends. try to get him as a guest. Dan, is it possible to do 3 people on here or just
Hell
just
yeah,
us
we
two?
can get as many people as we want on here.
Oh, bars. Okay, well then, people, we're going to have some guests on here sometimes because I know some people I could get on. So look forward to that, and we will catch you next time, guys.
Spoke to the devil, he said, the boogeyman's under my bed. The voice is all in my head. They killed my son, now I'm dead. My girl beside me in bed. She placed her hand on my head. I spoke to the devil, he said. I spoke to the devil, he said. The cupboard of chocolate pills. You never get signed to a deal. Your hustle will never pay off. You'll never be your own boss. You'll never shine like you should. Hard work, it doesn't pay off. It pays if you suck 'em off. It pays the salad you toss. Your pride is stupid for that. Go ahead, you just be a rat. Step over your brother, his back. Just fake like you got his back. Just fake like you really care. Just leave your girl in her chair. Just leave your kid at the stairs. The game is yours if you dare. I spoke to the devil, he said. The boogeyman's under my bed. The voice is all in